Deion Sanders in Colorado added maybe my favorite transfer addition of the whole offseason. I'm going to talk about him and more on today's episode of Locked On Buffs.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Locked On Buffs on this lovely Monday morning. I am Kevin Borba, your host. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about two huge additions to the transfer portal made by Colorado. One of them might be my favorite addition of arguably the whole offseason, or it's probably top three at least. Two, we're going to be talking about Shedeur Sanders and how good he could be, and also who else the other transfers that could stand out. Shedeur Sanders was viewed as someone with his stock rising, and then Bleacher Report wrote a nice article about transfers at Colorado that should stand out this season, so we'll get to that later. But before we do, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Buffs your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, so make sure to share and subscribe and do all that jazz for us. Okay, over the weekend, Colorado had a little bit of an in and out situation, or a here or there trade for a one for one, if you will. After losing EJ Horton, who is a Marshall wide receiver, really fast, runs track over there. He committed to Colorado. Then he announced that he was flipping from Colorado to West Virginia. And this isn't in the correct timeline or anything. The Buffs went out and added, and I'm not even joking, this might be one of the best additions they've made. Javon Antonio out of Northwestern State, a wide receiver. Let me give you a little bit about Javon. 6'4", 220 pounds. 6'4", 220 pounds. Last year, he recorded 684 yards, nearly 700 yards, 64 catches, and 6 touchdowns. Huge red zone target, huge target down the field. I said all along, and I was more so discussing this about Shane Hooks. I thought Colorado could use a big-bodied receiver. They have Jimmy Horn, who's a speedster. Obviously, he's a great route runner and all that. Smaller guy. Xavier Weaver, 6 foot. I mean, he could play it bigger than his size. Smaller guy, 6 foot. I mean, decent size, but not too big. Willie Gaines, very small. Travis Hunter, decent size. Javon Antonio, though, 6'4". Imagine Shedeur Sanders is under pressure, and he sees someone down the field, and he just throws it up for a jump ball. Who are you going to trust more, 6'4" receiver or 5'10" defensive back? Javon Antonio, gives this offense a whole new level of, I guess, variety, if you will. Sean Lewis is going to have so many weapons to work with here, and I think this is what I had been calling for the entire time at the receiver room. I think Coach Prime, I think this receiver room's pretty much filled out now. You know, they have Jalen Ellis from Baylor. They added Tavares Dawson from Auburn, Jimmy Horn. I think they have a lot of guys, plus the incoming 4-star receivers that they landed to the 2 top players in the class. I think this wide receiver room is pretty much filled out. Like I'm pretty excited about this wide receiver room now. It's not like I wasn't before. I just thought they could have used some more experience, and some of the guys that they'd been landing while they were experienced education wise didn't have a lot of on-field production, where Antonio, he's used to having the ball in his hands. So having someone who's battle tested, battle proven, that's going to help tremendously. And then also they landed 2 transfers over the weekend. The second one comes from the University of Florida State at Boulder. No, I'm just kidding. That's what it might be. That's what we should start calling it, though, because Colorado landed transfer number 5 from Florida State, 6'2", 200 pounds safety, Travis J. 4-star prospect coming out of high school. He's a top 155 recruit. He was a 2-way star out of Florida. Out of high school, he accounted for 2,300 yards of offense, 33 touchdowns. He was an Under Armour All-American. He provides yet another player who could add depth. And the fifth Florida State transfer. I think, obviously, it's kind of funny because prior to last season, everybody thought that Mike Norvell was going to get fired at Florida State, and then Coach Prime would lead Jackson State to another great season, which he did. And then he would take over at Florida State once Norvell was fired and rebuild his alma mater. But Norvell had probably a job-saving season, leading Florida State to their first winning season since I think it was 2016, and their first 10-win season since 10-win season since 2017, first winning season in a hot minute. But either way, he saved his job. So Coach Prime obviously didn't go to Florida State, and now he's at Colorado. So things come full circle. But he has some Florida State connections on his staff. He has Florida State connections himself. He's attracting a lot of productive and talented players from Florida State, and I think it's going to work out great. They got Marion Cooper. They have, let me pull up the list here because it's kind of crazy that there's a list of them. They have Marion Cooper, Derek McClendon II, obviously Travis J. They have, who else am I missing? Bishop Thomas, I believe Bishop Thomas, and then Brennan Gant. All of them come on the defensive side of the ball. The defense for Colorado, I think, is, if there was a side that I was more worried about, it'd be them, just because obviously the Pac-12 offenses are so talented. So great addition, Travis J. And obviously, I'm pretty excited over Antonio, Javon Antonio. That's going to add a whole other aspect of, I guess, dominance to this Colorado offense. I think Shedeur Sanders is I think he has a lot of weapons now. I think he had a lot of weapons before, but now he has some proven guys, some guys that are fast, some guys that are big, and I just like the variety of weapons that he'll have. So big transfer additions, and not to mention, as I'm recording this at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Alton McCaskill, the Houston running back, tweeted that he is scheduled to visit Boulder. So that could be another. I think Alton McCaskill would be my favorite transfer addition if Colorado gets him. So we'll just have to wait and see about that. But again, Javon Antonio and Travis J and EJ Horton back to West Virginia. He's going to transfer to West Virginia. Happens, but I think that's a pretty good trade-off, I would say. Guys, if you are looking for a delicious snack, but you don't want all the sugar or calories, then I've got just the thing for you. They're Built Bars. They're healthy and they taste amazing. Seriously, they're so amazing. And what makes them so good? I'll tell you right now. They're 100% real dark chocolate. That's right. The real chocolate, not that fake, like plasticky tasting chocolate or whatever. They're real chocolate. They have unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, cookies and cream. They're only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. And if you don't want to go online, but you can get them at built.com, and you want to go maybe while you're shopping at Walmart or your Sam's Club, well, that's where they got them. Your local Walmart or Sam's Club, while you still can, to get your specialty flavors at built.com. If you're close to a Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors brownie batter and churro puff. You could thank me later. If you're at Walmart, you can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate bar, or coconut puff. So go get your Built Bar. They taste great. They're healthy. And we all know that eating healthy is fun and all, or it's difficult, but you always crave some sweet. You have a sweet tooth. We all do. And so Built Bars can help you satisfy that sweet tooth. So let's go eat healthy. Okay. Talked about it a little bit earlier. Obviously, we just talked about the important transfers that Colorado landed, but now we're going to be talking about one that they landed pretty soon into the process, by the name of Shedeur Sanders. He was listed, someone at Athlon, not me this time, wrote about all the transfers, 10 college football quarterbacks with stock on the rise. And so if you're not familiar with the stock market lingo, means there's someone who is going to be exploding onto the scene, someone who's going to be good this next year. So they added Shedeur Sanders. It says Colorado's defense is certainly a work in progress, but offense showed signs of what's to come this fall. Offensive coordinator Sean Lewis's high-powered attack Operating coordinator Sean Lewis's high-powered attack. Sanders completed 16 of 19 throws for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Buffs spring game. Although Sanders has to prove he can deliver against Power 5 defenses on a weekly basis, his tape at Jackson State and in the spring with Colorado's new offense shows why he should be one of the better quarterbacks this program's had in some time. Again, my only concern with Shedeur Sanders outside of him staying healthy. Not that he's been injury prone. It's just if he goes down, I don't like their quarterback situation behind him. That's a different story. God forbid he goes down. But my only concern was, is he going to be forcing throws and trying to do things that he maybe could do at Jackson State that he won't be able to do at Colorado? And I think he's going to learn throughout time. He's working with Tom Brady this summer. There was a video that went viral of him just a couple days ago of him launching passes down the field. So Shedeur Sanders, obviously, I think while there's going to be some growing pains, because I think any quarterback in a new environment will have some growing pains, I think he's going to be really good. The Pac-12 has Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Cam Rising, Cam Ward, DJ Uyunglele, and I think Cam Rising. I think Shedeur Sanders has a chance to kind of sneak into that top 5, top 4, if he has a great season. He has all these weapons at wide receiver that are going to help him ascend to the next level. He's probably going to have a really complimentary run game, and that's only going to improve if Alton McCaskill gets there. As long as the offensive line can protect him, I think the sky's the limit for Shedeur Sanders. And realistically, it wouldn't shock me if he is someone who kind of takes college football by storm, because I think people think about him, or they thought about him when he first transferred, and then they see other names like, I don't know, who else is transferred? That's kind of Casey Thompson, Sam Hartman at Notre Dame, Tyler Buckner at Alabama, Jeff Sims, and I think maybe he was a little forgotten about, and so I think it'll be a reintroducing of Shedeur Sanders to the college football world, because obviously there was excitement when he went to Colorado. Everybody was like, oh, of course. And then the spring game, there was excitement, but now I feel like other quarterbacks are starting to get a lot of shine, and so Shedeur Sanders is going to take some attention for himself, take some shine. Here are the other quarterbacks too, just in case you were interested. Carson Beck from Georgia, replacing Stetson Bennett. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. Quinn Ewers at Texas. Mitch Griffiths at Wake Forest. Sam Hartman at Notre Dame, who I mentioned. Dante Moore at UCLA. Jack Plummer at Louisville. Shedeur. Jeff Sims. Tyler Van Dyke. So a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of talented gunslingers out there, but Shedeur Sanders probably has the strongest arm in college football. He probably has one of the better receiver rooms in college football, and he has one of the best offensive minds in college football. So if you're a Buffs fan, be pumped, because Shedeur Sanders is going to be electric. And I don't really have anywhere else to go with that, but he's going to be electric. He can move, he can throw, he's accurate, very smart. And something about working with Tom Brady, I just feel like that's probably going to be a little bit helpful for the game, I would imagine. Tom Brady, semi-accomplished quarterback. No, I'm just kidding. Tom Brady, pretty accomplished quarterback in the NFL in the sport in general at the quarterback position, working with Shedeur Sanders, refining all of his skills. Shedeur Sanders is poised for a huge season. And I think those who aren't following the program as closely as you guys are, they're going to have to just learn on the fly, like the rest of college football. But I know my listeners over at Locked On Buffs are supportive, and you guys love your Buffs, and I love you guys. Everydayers, I appreciate you guys. That's what I call my everyday listeners. Tomorrow's episode, we're going to have Shehan Jayaraja from CBS Sports to talk about Coach Prime's methods, Colorado's ceiling, and then he's a Texas native, so we're going to talk about that TCU matchup, because I feel like we need some clarity. So everydayers, make sure to comment any questions below for Shehan. We're going to have a great episode tomorrow. I'm excited about it. I know you guys are excited about it, so looking forward to that. Last topic of the day. I hate when we get to this point, because it means I'm done talking to you guys. Bleacher Report wrote an article titled 2023 College Transfers Who Have Immediate Impact. So there are quarterbacks. There are obviously Shedeur Sanders made the list naturally. Colorado's overhaul of transfers got its own section. It said one notable omission from the previous slide is Shedeur Sanders, but he's the headliner of Colorado's roster construction. Sanders and two-way player Travis Hunter, the number 1 overall recruit of the 2022 cycle, followed Deion Sanders from Jackson State. They're expected to be cornerstone pieces for the Buffs in 2023. Everyone knows them. But here are the guys that Bleacher Report is looking out for. Jimmy Horn, USF transfer receiver. Edge rushers, Derek McClendon II from Florida State, and Savell Smalls, the former 5-star from Washington. Defensive lineman Leonard Payne out of Fresno State, getting some hype. Love that. Linebacker Demoy Kennedy from Alabama, and Arkansas safety Miles Slusher. Never before has a program undertaken this level of turnover. It's safe to say the Buffaloes, for better or worse, will be watched closely. Now, I think those are some of the transfers that I'm looking forward to as well, but I think there's some ones that got left out. I'm looking forward to Xavier Weaver. I'm now looking forward to Javon Antonio. On the defensive side of the ball, give me Cormani McClain. Obviously, he's not a transfer. I'm excited about him, though. Shane Cokes, Dartmouth defensive line transfer, someone who was an early leader at Colorado. I'm excited to see him. Jordan Dominic might be one of my favorite defensive transfers just in college football right now. Had 7.5 sacks last year. I want to see if he could get to these Pac-12 quarterbacks. You know, he was able to have a lot of production in the SEC this past season for Arkansas. Can he help lift this Colorado defense? Can he lead this Colorado defense to being a dominant pass rushing group? I'm not surprised by Jimmy Horn. I think I'm just as excited about him. I love writing about Jimmy Horn. I think Jimmy Horn's kind of become a household name this spring, which is exciting to see because going into USF, he was very highly touted coming out of Florida. And even at USF, he made a lot of noise. Everybody who follows college football, even from somewhat of a distance, I feel like you may have heard of Jimmy Horn. You've probably at worst accidentally seen a Jimmy Horn highlight. So now that he's a Buff, I think that's really exciting. He's going to be used in a multitude of ways. Derek McClendon from Florida State, yes, that makes sense. An experienced pass rusher. Savell Smalls from Washington is one to me that I'm excited about. I want to say I'm nervous, but I'm a little skeptical about. Like, is Charles Kelly, is Sal Sunseri going to be able to tap into what made him a 5-star recruit, what made him a potential first-round pick? Because I think when you have someone who was rated number 30 in their class, a former 5-star, and he didn't pan out, he was a backup at Washington, I think there's obviously untapped potential. And it's like, can he hit that here? Because if he starts hitting his potential and we have Savell Smalls and Jordan Dominic just taking turns sacking the quarterback, that'd be a dream for Colorado fans. But if he kind of sputters and turns into another reserve, well, that'd be a little disappointing, I'd have to say. But only time will tell. I'm pretty excited about Vito Tisdale as well. Cameron Silman Craig, the safety positions for Colorado. Vito Tisdale is the Kentucky transfer, very proven at the SEC level prior to his ACL injury and off the field issues. Cameron Silman Craig was one of the guys that I think was standing out during the spring game, standing out during spring practice in general. So that'll be good. Running back, I'm excited for Kavosi Smoke. We haven't seen him, the Kentucky multiple Kentucky transfers as well. We haven't seen him with a lot of carries. Obviously, at Kentucky, he was a backup for Chris Rodriguez, but he wasn't here during the spring, so we didn't get to see him. I'm just excited. Let's see. These Colorado number 1 transfer portal class in the country. There's going to be so many different guys competing for starting spots. It's going to be an all-out battle. It's going to be a war during fall camp, and I don't envy these Colorado coaches for the fact that they're going to have to figure out who's starting. I feel like there's a lot of talented pieces here, and I think some guys, I won't say are going to have their feelings hurt, but some guys were lured to Colorado, maybe with the proposal that they might have a large role, and then someone's going to emerge, take their spot ahead of them. Not to mention, I feel like we've been talking about this transfer, rightfully so, by the way. We've been talking about this Colorado transfer class for some time now, but this recruiting class, number 20 in the country, multiple 4-stars, multiple guys that have the ability to come in and contribute right away. So a lot of reason to be excited for this Colorado team coming up. I know I'm excited. I know you guys are excited, and we're going to continue to talk about all of that here on Locked On Buffs. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Buffs your first listen every day. I appreciate you guys. We're on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. We're on YouTube, of course. Make sure to subscribe, share this. We're nearing 2,000. We're approaching 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. Let's get that number up. It'd be amazing to get it up to 10 by the start of the season, which I know is a lot, but let's do 1,000 a month for a few months, and that'd be great. I'll have some great guests coming on in the future, and I don't want you guys to miss anything. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This has been Locked On Buffs. Today we talked about the major transfer portal additions. We had Javon Antonio from Northwestern State, Travis Jay from Florida State. They did lose EJ Horton, but Antonio, much better, much more proven receiver. Shedeur Sanders, his stock is up. His stock is on the rise. I don't know if there's a place where you could buy stock in college athletes, but if there is, I'd buy some in Shedeur Sanders. And then we just talked about the transfers that could stand out for the Buffs this upcoming season. It's going to be a very exciting season, and I know I'm excited. I know you guys are excited. Week 1, September 2nd at TCU. Feels kind of far away. We're over 100 days away, but it'll be here before you know it, and I'll be here covering every step of the way. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and you guys have a great day. See you tomorrow with Shehan Jayaraja. Make sure to tune in. Make sure to share all that. You guys have a great day. This has been Locked On Buffs. I'm Kevin Borba.